Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
And good morning, everyone. Phil Penarski here with the Wood TV Live Desk. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your Thursday. The Kent District Library has partnered with a familiar face to the Live Desk. Jerry Berg over at the Swordsmanship Museum and Academy joins us once again, and him and KDL will be putting on several classes throughout the summer, teaching everybody the basics of sword fighting and really the basics of swordsmanship itself. Jerry, we're very excited to get a chance to talk to you once again. How are you doing this morning?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, no, very glad to have you back on. Last time we talked about the lightsaber demonstrations that were happening at Grimsby Hollow Meadery. So very excited to get the chance to talk to you again about another exciting sort of class you guys are teaching over with the Swordsmanship Museum and Academy. And that kind of leads me to my first question, Jerry. Tell us a little bit more about your museum. Obviously, you started it. And you guys have been putting on sort of these demonstrations and classes, but I want the people to know just a little bit more about it.
Right. So officially, our museum, our brick and mortar location is located in Comstock Park, Michigan, just the north end of Grand Rapids, right up 131, right down the street from the ballpark. So it's a really great location. And at this location, we have a ton of exhibits, which we are working to get active, at least for a soft opening coming up soon. We also teach a ton of historical swordsmanship classes, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later on during our interview here. But also the Swordsmanship Museum is not just a physical location, but it is an amazing community that has grown immensely, that encompasses at least 4 different cities, hundreds and hundreds of students and educators. In fact, this year, not only do we teach classes here in Comstock Park, as well as teaching classes in Caledonia at the south end of the city, this year we have expanded into Holland, Kalamazoo, and in September we'll be doing Muskegon as well. So we are just growing because the desire, the interest, the passion to learn about historical swordsmanship and its role in our culture and our history has been so phenomenal and almost overwhelming at times.
Right. No, it's very good to see that it is expanding and really grown into this community. I think that kind of plays into the next part of this. Obviously, these events that are being held at KDL, Jerry, that partnership that came between you and the district library. How did that sort of come to be? You know, why was it important for you guys to have, you know, another place to really grow this community, and also important for the Kent District Library to offer these classes to people?
Right. So the museum itself started as a fusion between a bunch of different historical themed interests. For example, our primary living history and educational program called Corvus Cohort does historical reenactments at Renaissance fairs and cultural festivals. In fact, they're going to be at the Enchanted Forest in Vassar, Michigan, starting this week and continuing for 3 weekends. So that started technically before the museum. In addition to that, we had a ton of collectors who loved educating about artifacts, as well as myself teaching classes kind of independently, not associated with the museum because it didn't exist at the time. Mm-hmm. And then right about 2020, in fact, February 2020, what a month to start.
Right.
we kind of fused everything together into the Swordsmanship Museum and Academy. It's a very simple simplification of the story there. But in 2020, we realized, well, we can't teach classes together. All of our hopes for starting things kind of went down the toilet. What can we do that doesn't involve, spreading COVID and keeping people safe while still educating about the history that they want? Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, I cannot remember which library first reached out to me. I can't remember if it was KDL, if it was one of the other great libraries we have in the state, but they reached out to me independently and asked me to give a lecture virtually, which I'd never done before, aside from YouTube videos for my personal channel. And I said, sure. And it turned into this amazing connection with this library. And because it was live streamed, so many other libraries saw it. And I just started getting emails and emails and emails from all the different amazing educational facilities, not just libraries, but schools and museums and many, many events. And it grew from there. And of course, here in Comstock Park, we are literally across the street from the Comstock Park branch of the Kent District Library. And so a connection was just so easy to make there. They got a hold of what we do, and they thought, wow, this would be great to increase our participation for our teen events. And they've also hosted a number of actual educational lectures in addition to swordsmanship classes as well.
Right. No, I love that it really started from, a lot of people during the pandemic were pretty doom and gloom, and you grew your business and really this community of swordsmanship across West Michigan during that same period. So very inspiring right there, Jerry. And that kind of leads into the classes. Obviously you gave that lecture that has grown into some of these classes that you are offering at KDL this summer. What can people sort of expect at these classes? Are they getting the chance to, hold and use real swords? What's sort of the process behind, beginners up to more experienced sword wielders?
So this is specifically for our teen events, our teen programming at the Kent District Library. This started last year, by the way, as their Summer Wonder program, and we taught medieval longsword classes. They loved it. It was so popular that they actually expanded it this summer, and instead of teaching medieval longsword, we're splitting it between pirate cutlass and Japanese katana, which is fantastic. But I want to clarify the real depth, the real meat, the real joy of what it is that we're teaching is not just having the kids hold training swords and, cut, the empty air in front of them. The real joy of it is that the information that we're teaching them, the techniques that we're teaching them aren't made up. They're not made by some guy in a basement with a sword. What we have, and I actually have some in front of me just to show off, we have, this one's from World War II. But they go so far back. I just happen to have my 21st century exhibit in front of me. We have surviving manuals, actual books that were written centuries ago when swordsmanship was a legitimate life or death skill. And believe it or not, when people knew how to sword fight and they also knew how to write, they would write about sword fighting. This is especially true in Europe in the Renaissance, because Europe was going through the scientific Reformation at the time, scientific revolution, and writing became a very important aspect of their life and learning. And thanks to that, we, in the 21st century historians, have surviving manuals that have been translated and transcribed and republished. And we have modern day English translations of sword fighting manuals from across time. This is not some random YouTuber critiquing Game of Thrones fights on TV. This is the actual book, or not just the book, but dozens and dozens of actual books from human history explaining the details of sword combat. And so this year, when we're doing our two classes, our pirate cutlass and our Japanese katana, in reality, that is an introduction to a manual that was, one of them, the Pirate Cutlass class, is a manual that was published in the year 1711, right in the middle of the golden age of piracy, by an English swordsman named Zach Wild, who happened to teach a broadsword, aka cutlass, section in his book. And then jumping to the Japanese class, we're actually teaching the techniques of a Japanese samurai turned daimyo named Yagyu Munenori. And Yagyu was published his first manual in 1601, right in the middle of the Warring States period of Japan, or right at the end of it, technically. And so we're using these, we're teaching, we're transcribing, we're passing this information along of actual swordsmanship techniques that were actually practiced by warriors from human history. So they're getting a really true understanding of sword fighting.
No, I love hearing the passion in your voice, Jerry, when you talk about this. It's very, very inspiring, again, just kind of hearing how much you really do care about this community and really spreading your love of swordsmanship. And, I think you've done a fantastic job really today explaining what you guys are going to be doing at these classes throughout the summer. And I think it's important for people that are interested to know exactly how they can sign up, how they can attend these classes, and not only learn from you, but also experience that passion you share for swordsmanship.
Right. I think that most people should do the most basic thing that they can. And if they don't know, if they're in the Grand Rapids area, the Kent District Library has so many branches. That means physical buildings spread throughout the region. So do yourself a favor, do a quick Google Maps search for Kent District Library to find your local branch. and get in touch with them. Follow them on Facebook, visit their website, see their event calendar online. And that is the best way, not just to see my classes, but all the cool classes and programs and activities that your local Kent District Library has. It's phenomenal to see how much actual assistance and community enrichment these branches can provide. And so many people aren't even aware of it right in their neighborhood.
Absolutely. Well, Jerry, we thank you so much for stopping by the live desk today. I want to remind everybody that if you're interested in learning a little bit more about these swordsmanship classes and also a little bit more background on Jerry, you can do just that right now by heading on over to our website, woodtv.com. We've got a full story there. Jerry, once again, thank you so much for stopping by the live desk. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Phil. Have a good one.
Of course. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning into this latest edition of the Wood TV Live Desk. I'm Phil Penarski, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.